So you're in the feed store aisle and you're looking at the treats, and they have like all kinds of health claims on these treats. There's like some with added joint supplements and some that are low sugar, and some of them are really crazy expensive and some of them are really cheap and you can get them in a 25-pound bag. And you are wondering, what really is the healthiest treat, and does it actually even matter for your horse's health? That's what we're going to answer in this video. If you're new here, my name's Ruby. I'm a whole horsemanship coach. I help horses and riders to be the healthiest that they can be through a variety of skills and tools and information, including nutrition, which I happen to be certified in, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm joined today by my 2-week-old baby, and he is probably going to make some noise while I'm filming this, but I'm holding him, and he's here, so he's gonna chime in, I think, a little bit here and there. Okay, so the first thing that you need to really think about is how many treats are you actually giving your horse, because this really does matter. So if you are like clicker training or using positive reinforcement, or maybe you're just like, I remember I used to have a friend that would literally like give her horse treats by the handful, like a fistful of treats and just all at once. If you're that kind of person, it probably matters a little bit more what kind of treat you give your horse than the person that is maybe just giving like one treat at the end of the ride. Also, you want to consider your horse and if they have any kind of health concerns or things that would maybe make what they eat even a little bit more important. So this would be any kind of like metabolic issue, Cushing's, laminitis, anything along those lines, or potentially like maybe it's a young horse or just a horse that you've noticed is really sensitive to sugar. Those kinds of things can be important. The one that I would kind of caution against is if, like, let's say your horse has arthritis and you see this treat package that is all shiny and says it helps with joint inflammation, I would just be cautious about that for a couple of reasons. One is the vast majority of the time, the amount of kind of like medicinal things that they can get into a cookie is not enough to treat your horse, right? Think about like a horse is 1,000 pounds. The dosage of a lot of these like kind of nutraceuticals or kind of like herbal supplements and things like that that they would need to consume in order to actually have a difference in their health, you'd have to be giving so many treats, and then at that point it maybe is not so healthy because now you're also giving a lot of sugar. So that's one thing that I would consider. The other thing that I would be cautious about is we don't necessarily know if whatever is in that treat that is helpful for their joints is going to be counterindicated with any of their other supplements or medications that your horse might be taking. So if your horse, for example, is on Bute or Equiox or any of those kind of things for joint pain or arthritis, we definitely do not want them eating turmeric, for example, because together they can cause some bleeding disorders. So we want to be really careful that we're not using both of those together. So really just being mindful of those kind of claims on labels and just maybe doing a little extra homework before you buy those to make sure that it's not going to cause any additional problems for your horse, and also that you're not just wasting your money on something that's really not going to help that much anyway. So now that we've assessed your horse and also what kind of treat giver you are, there are some things we can do. So there are certainly some treats on the market that are just chock full of sugar. And again, if you're like the type of person that's giving like one treat after a ride, it's probably not that big of a deal if you think about how much sugar is in one treat and how big your horse is. However, if you're going through a lot of treats, I would definitely encourage you to look for a treat that has the lowest amount of sugar possible, and also potentially like some of the more healthy bases. So the ones that are like made with oats, or that have like, there's some that have like, okay. There's some that have like chia seeds in them or things like that. And those are generally better for your horse because they're whole foods that your horse's body actually recognizes, versus the like hyper processed little nuggets that smell amazing, but you're like looking at it and you're like, where did this come from and what's in it? I have no idea. Kind of the same as us. Again, if you're just doing like a treat here and there, probably not a very big deal. But if you're doing lots of treats regularly, I would encourage you to look for the most whole form of those treats. And the cheapest whole form of treats that you're going to find are typically in your kitchen. So Really easy ones, obviously chopped up carrots, chopped up apples. Most horses really love those. I've also had great success with bananas. Some horses really like granola bars. You can try watermelon. The only ones that you really want to be, careful about fruit and vegetable wise are nightshades. So that's going to be tomatoes, peppers, potatoes, things like that. Onions and garlic, alliums, you don't want them to have those things. And then celery, because it can be a choking hazard because of all the strings. But otherwise, most fruits and vegetables are safe for your horse to try. I have horses that love oranges. I have horses that love bananas. I have tried all kinds of different fruits and veggies with my horses, and it really is fun, actually. And it's also fun to throw them in the buckets. So when you're making buckets, you can kind of toss in various fruits and veggies, and it kind of is a fun enrichment activity for your horse to nuzzle around and find the yummy parts. But it also is actually kind of, I would say good for them because, just the variety and getting some different vitamins and minerals in their diet. But also again, a 1,000-pound horse eating 1 carrot is really not going to make that much of a difference in their mineral intake. But something, kind of fun and definitely cheaper than most horse treats you're going to find. Also, if you have a lot of horses that you're giving treats to, you can get those giant bags of 20 pounds of juicing carrots, and those are really great options as well. The only thing with those is sometimes they're really, really massive and they're hard to bite or break up because they are so big. So you just want to watch those, especially for the smaller horses and ponies. I hope that was helpful, that you learned something about horse treats and health and what options you have. If you want more videos like this and more tips about horse health and human health, please make sure to follow and subscribe. It means a lot to me and helps me to spread this message even a little bit further. And I will hopefully see you in the next video. If you thought this video was helpful, I also would recommend checking out my Build Your Bucket series. You can also follow along with my free Build Your Bucket workbook, which I will link below. But if you check out that series of videos that I have, it'll walk you through everything from hay and forage to supplements and concentrates or grains. And I think we also talk a little bit about treats in there. So definitely check that out because that's just a much more comprehensive series of videos. And again, you can follow along with that resource that makes it even that much more helpful.